Good afternoon, everybody. As many of you may be missing from today's lesson and other lessons this week, I realise due to taking study leave for English examinations or geography examinations, I thought I would go through the lesson content with you to help you complete the set prep work. So, looking in particular at question 1b. Okay, so this is the second part of the question, which can sometimes also lead into part C, because both of these two parts are sketching examples. The second part of the question, part 1b, is always about finding a way to join, secure, fix, hold, add attachments to the product. Okay, so the product or the problem that you are asked to design, the one that you're asked to consider in part A and then design in part C. This question is worth 4 marks or 8% of the total marks for the examination. The usual expectation is that you will provide 2 solutions or ideas, answers, each worth 2 marks. Combined with part C, in sketch responses, that's 1/3 of the total marks of the exam paper, 32%. It's really important that you answer this with quick, clear sketches using a fine line pen for clarity to show your idea a little bit more clearly. You must annotate your sketch very quickly and just a simple describe and explain. And you should spend no longer than 6 minutes, ideally less than that, in total on this part of the question. So you need to be very quick when you sketch. You can sketch in 2D and 3D. So let's have a look at the type of question and what you might need to do. So if we first of all look at the question. Question is here, part B. It says using sketches and notes to show 2 methods of fixing such a unit to a wall. And we realise the unit because the unit was in part A. Okay, so the unit can be positioned anywhere in the school workshop and it's got to hold these boxes. However, what they are now saying, despite what you may have said in A about it being on wheels or casters so it could be moved around a workshop, for this part they want it to be fixed to a wall. So how can you fix something to a wall? And that's the question. How can you fix something, any product, to a wall? So underneath here, some of these photographs, these are some ways, and there are many others, of fixing things to a wall. You could, for example, this is how we hang skateboards outside the D&T department. So we've got a metal plate with 2 screws that go into a wall and then an attachment onto the metal plate. And in this case, a hook. That principle, that idea, is the same as this one here, which is a metal plate with 2 screws going into the wall with a part of the metal plate that's bent outwards. Now, the way that this works, and also this is it as well as part of a cupboard, is that the unit then has the matching metal piece attached to the back of it, which slots in or hangs in. Through gravity, it holds in its place. This is another example excuse me, of a similar kind of product, similar aspect. And then this is a 2D drawing, again, of this type of unit. And you can see here the metal is just bent out. This method here, just to point this one out, this is how I have done the crests for the entrance as you come into the senior school building, where all the house crests are. They are mounted off the wall. And what these are a simple little cylinder with a hole in, and in that is where I put a screw through into the wall. Then there is this that is called a spacer. This part here is the spacer, and then the top part screws on back in and it holds the material in place. Things that you could think about are how are signs outside of classrooms joined onto the wall, how do the art department put up pictures and hang them outside of art. Okay, it's those type of things. So whilst the question itself states the unit could be positioned anywhere, it's now specifically how do you attach it to a wall. Okay, so I've done a simple example model answer, okay, for you. So it took me 3 minutes to sketch both of these two as an example. One of them is a keyhole hanger, okay, which is this one here on the left. Okay, this works by having a larger hole at the bottom with a small channel that goes up. And this is a very common way to join things onto a wall. So this is the unit, this is a keyhole hanger, and then this is a screw with a washer. Okay, and the screw head is left so it's sticking out of the wall from the washer a little bit more. And so what happens is the head goes in here, and then you drop the unit down, which sits on the small part of the screw. The one on the right hand side is using this method here, okay, on this page with the metal plate, and you can see that a corresponding metal plate is screwed into the unit and then dropped over the top of the hanger. Okay, so that would gain 4 marks. It is fine line pen, 2D, 3D, annotated or labelled. So now let's look at what I'm going to ask you to do for homework and preparation. So I would like you, please, to answer the following 4 1B questions by sketching 2 responses per question and inserting those pictures, those photographs, by taking the photograph on your phone and popping them into the slide. And then the last task is another paper 3 task, following on from the last one, which is on an A4 piece of paper or in your sketchbook, ideally using a ruler, please sketch a corner halving wood joint. Here is a little link to a really good video on how to make a corner halving joint, which shows you how it works. And just to remind you, you don't need to add any colour. The sketch should be done at an angle, so it's in 3D, and it should take you no longer than 8 minutes. On the right hand side here, here's a little example of a dovetail wood joint, okay, which is, again, is another type of wood joint. This is actually a much harder one to draw, but I've just included it so you can see a dovetail joint. So very quickly, to show you those 4 questions, okay, here we go. Workshop equipment, okay, is use sketches and notes to show 2 ways of securing other workshop equipment. Okay, so there's the question. And I've given you some starting points on this one, some clues, because this is one typically inside like someone's garage or actually in prep D&T, which is we've got these trays, we've got all of these tools hung up, and the important thing to know about these pegboard hangers are that the tools are all different shapes and sizes. Some are round, some are flat. I've included this one here on the right, which is different kind of materials. This is more, we call it haberdashery, kind of like for wrapping presents and paper. This one here is obviously the inside of a kitchen. Lots of these tools have things like holes in them, therefore they can be hung, but the interesting one is like along the top here, the rolling pin, and they found a way to secure a cylindrical object, by putting pegs underneath, and it slots in. And there are 2 little details here that I've taken of one that we've got at our home, which are using bungee cables, like stretchy cables with hooks on the end. The hooks go into the pegboard hanger, which is screwed into the wall. That's the screw at the bottom right, and it holds a cylindrical object. Okay, you can see here this is just a pencil tube. This is a flat object. So I would like you please to sketch 2 responses in 2D or 3D, annotated and labelled, and in fine line pen for workshop equipment. Then the same question, okay, for books, but this time to show 2 methods that would stop the books falling off a unit. Okay, so think about something that would stop them falling forwards. This one, soldering iron, using sketches and notes to show 2 ways of safely resting a hot soldering iron. This is the hot soldering iron, so after it's been used, you need to rest it. Okay, so you could, very simply on that, have a quick look on Google to see if you can see any other solutions for that. But basically some way of holding it, ideally so it's not touching something. So the hot part, which is this part from the bottom, the bit that looks more like a pencil, would be very, very hot. And then lastly, again, I've given you a few more clues on this one. Number 9 for umbrellas. Sketches and notes to show 2 places on a bus where such a storage system could be located to hold up to 6 wet umbrellas. So there's at the bottom right, there's one for just one at home. This is like almost like a concrete brick that's coloured that can stand up. This is like a multiple rack one here. That's actually one at the bottom left with using bungee cords, okay, like I've just shown you. And then lastly, please insert your sketch of a corner halving wood joint. Okay, good luck with that task, and I look forward to seeing your responses submitted on what will be Thursday at 6 o'clock. Thank you.